guys, it's Charlene. Today I'm going to show you how I made this spooky card using some products from Altenew and Picket Fence. I'm starting out here with the Ghosts of Halloween Past stamps. These are really cute, lots of different Halloween icons. In particular, I'm going to be using that very spooky ghost. And now I've got my Altenew stamp wheel here. You know that I've been using this a lot. I'm really loving the stamp wheel. I put down my ghost right there in the center, and I'm going to make sure it gets nice and adhered to the top plate. And now all I need to do is flip it over so I can use some of my black hybrid ink to get it nice and covered. Just a few taps on there is really all you need to do. Flip it over, and then I just like to kind of press my fingers around on the stamp to make sure it transferred really well. I find that you don't have to press very hard at all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of masking paper in there and stamp the same stamp on the masking paper. And I'm just going to pull that off here, and then I can go around and fussy cut out the image. I like to do this with some really fine detail scissors. I find it makes the whole process a lot easier. Also, you don't have to be super perfect with this masking because we are going to be doing ink blending over the entire card panel. So once you get it cut out, you're just gonna pop it right over the top of your stamp. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm gonna stamp two more ghosts. I'm gonna stamp one on the left here, and then I'm gonna stamp one on the right. So just remember, when you put masking paper down, you need to cover things up in the order that you want them to be from front to back. So it's kind of hard to think about, but you just sort of have to pick reverse order. So I know I want that center ghost to be in the front, so that's the first thing I masked. I'm going to stamp the other ghost here on the right, and then off camera I did go ahead and create two more masks. And the reason I did this is because, like I said, we're going to ink blend over this whole panel, and I want to make sure that those ghosts, all three of them, are towards the front and that it looks like the ink blending is going on behind them. So here you can see I'm applying the other two masks. And what I'm going to do is I'm bringing in the Haunted Moon blending stencil. This is a really cool stencil. You've seen me use it before here on the channel. It's a layering stencil to make a giant moon. It's very easy to use. And I'm just using some light gray ink here. Very light on the brush, not much on there. And to be honest with you, the first time I used this stencil, I made sure to line everything up with the little circles in the four corners, but I found I'm able to pretty much eyeball it with this stencil. It's really easy to make sure that everything gets where it needs to be. So once I get that first layer of ink down with that light gray, then I'm going to move on to the second layer here of the stencil. And the way I have them sorted in my little pile over there just happens to be the full circle. There probably is a best practice kind of way of which layer you should put down first, but like I said, I found it doesn't really matter which way I go and kind of how exact I am on this, as long as I make sure everything sort of fits in that general circle. So as you're adding each layer of gray ink, you're going to see that the spots are going to get darker because they're getting a second layer of ink, whereas the clear spots that you are inking over, those are going to be a lighter gray. So I'm not putting very much ink down on this paper at all, you guys. I just want a real nice soft gray tone to this moon so it looks like it's kind of glowing, but where we're going to get all of our color is going to be the halo that we put around this moon. So I've got my second layer of the stencil done. I'm going to do the third layer. Again, it's some more spots here. And these are meant to represent kind of the craters and valleys that are in the moon if you look up at it in the night sky. And there might be a specific way you're supposed to put these on there. I didn't pay too close of attention, to be honest with you, because I think they just look cool no matter what. So I don't think there's any rhyme or reason about how exact those little dots need to be, like if I've got my stencil turned around or something like that. I'll also just note for you that this stencil does come in a long strip, and I actually cut mine apart just to make it easier for myself. I'm also not real worried about any ink going over the edges of the stencil because we're going to ink blend over all of that. So here I've got my whole moon done, and you say, oh, Charlene, it doesn't really look like a moon. You've got all that white space. Well, that's where the mask comes in so handy. I put a small piece of tape on the back of it to hold it in place while I do all my ink blending here. If you're feeling really confident, you can skip the tape, but because I was going to be doing some really bright and vibrant blues here, I just wanted to make sure that mask stayed in place so I didn't have to worry about it. I'm starting out with Dusk Fresh Dye ink, which is new from Holtz. It's this beautiful blue color. And I'm going to take it all the way around the edges very lightly. I don't want a heavy coating of this at all. So I went all the way around, and then I'm going to come in with some navy. So we're going to go from light out to dark as we go from the center of the card to the edge of the card. So the navy, I'm only going to take around the edges here a little bit, and I'm going to leave some of that dusk around the center, around the main part of the moon. Now I'm coming back in here. I've got my black hybrid ink again from Picket Fence Studios, and I'm just going to take that all the way around here with a little detail brush, and I'm just barely going to bring it up on the card, not very far at all, because I definitely want to make sure that my blues are showing really well. So you can see now it's got this cool halo effect. Next, I'm coming in with some Phantom Mist Distress Mica Stain. This is just kind of sparkly and colored in a really nice grayish blue. And I'm just sprinkling it in the top left corner and the bottom right corner so that there's kind of this nice angle going across the card. And once this dries, it's going to be very shiny. It's going to look really nice against that blue and that black. Now I can come in and take off all of my masks. This is always the exciting part. So I'm just going to go a little slow here, and I'm going to take off the moon mask first. And now I can come in and take off all of the ghost masks. This is the cool part, you guys. It always looks so awesome when you pull off these masks and you see how everything looks like it's kind of one in front of the other. I love, love, love this effect, and it's super easy to do. All you have to do is fussy cut out from masking paper or even a Post-it. So simple. So I decided to come in with some alcohol markers in cool grays. I've got some CG1 that I'm starting out here, and I'm just going along where those lines are that are drawn in to show where the shading goes. So it's very, very easy to color this. And now I've got some CG3, and that is just adding a little bit darker of a gray, and I'm only putting that in a few spots here and there in order to make some of the shadows look a little bit darker than the others. Now I can come in and do my sentiment. I'm using the same set, the Ghosts of Halloween Past stamps, and I'm going to be doing some heat embossing here. So I've got some black cardstock using my anti-static powder tool, and then I'm going to use some embossing ink to go ahead and stamp the sentiment that says boo, because if you have ghosts, of course, boo is just a perfect sentiment to go along with them. Again, I'm going to make sure that I get that ink to transfer really nicely onto the paper. And then I'm going to use some white embossing powder here and heat that with my heat gun. And it's just going to melt all that beautiful white embossing powder. It looks so nice against the black cardstock. And then I can use those coordinating dies that go with the Ghosts of Halloween Past set. There's this one that cuts out the sentiment here for boo nicely around all the edges. And there are lots of other sentiments in this set, and the dies cut those out as well. Really nice. I cut out 2 extra in black cardstock of the same die, and then I'm going to glue them all together. This is going to give my sentiment some dimension. It's going to allow it to kind of pop off the card a little bit, and especially since this is otherwise a one layer card, very flat, I feel like having that sentiment pop up really makes a difference. So once I get those all together, I just kind of pinch around the edges to make sure I have it all together. And then I can put everything onto my card base. So I'm going to put some glue here on the back of my card panel. You can see I'm running kind of low, so I've got to shake my glue bottle here a couple of times to get some glue out of there. I need to go shopping, right? So then I'm going to put my card panel here on the front of an A2 sized card base. It's 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. And then I've put some glue on the back of my sentiment. I'm going to put it down towards the bottom right hand corner, just here under that third ghost. I think that looks really nice. And that is going to finish off my card, you guys. Look at that mica, how it kind of shines in the light. Everything looks so cool. This video is part of the Altenew and Picket Fence Studios Stampwheel video hop. Be sure to check down in the description for all of the details, you guys. Lots of cool giveaways going on, but there are some deadlines. So make sure you get down in there in the description, read all of those rules, and then also be sure to visit other people on the hop. Lots of talented creators are participating. Okay, I hope you guys picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell so that I can continue bringing you more crafty content in the future. Until next time, happy crafting.